Welcome once again, guys. So today we are going to start using our JavaScript to manipulate our our HTML and CSS, and start generating our images based on our text. So let me the first thing I have to first create my JS file. So I'm going to say script.js. So this is how I'm going to call it. And then before we proceed writing anything, we have to first link our JavaScript in our HTML. To link it, you come before the closing tag of body. You link it here using this script tag, and then the attribute it is going to refers to the script file you have created. So this is how we linked our external JavaScript file using our HTML. So the first thing I want to target all the search container. That's what I want to target. And the second thing, I want to target the generated images. So for me to do that, I'll come to my HTML and copy these generated images. So this is not generated images, but I want the search container. That's what I want. So I'm going to take this search container, the first thing, and then I'll come to my JavaScript file. Let me zoom this one in so that for you can see. Okay, I think like this is okay. So I'm going to say const. I'm going to declare now the form. I'm going to say form element. I'm going to give it a variable name of form element. I'm going to say document dot query selector. So I want to select the item with this class of search container. And then here I'm going to declare another constant variable, and then I'll give it an image container. Let me put this one in a small letter, and then container. This one is called camel case in JavaScript. So I want to get now the generated image. I'm going to say document dot get element, not get element but query selector. That's what we want to use. And then what we want to get this class of generated images. This is what we want to get. This one, I'm going to copy it and then come here to my script and then paste it here. So perfect. After getting that one, what you want to do, want to add now some event listener. Want to add some event listener. So the event listener, I'm going to add the event listener in our form. When someone submit, I'm going to use the submit event listener. I'm going to say form element dot add event listener, and then the event listener is going to be of submit event. I'm going to say submit. Okay, let me come here and say submit. So if someone click on that button, want to call a function. So the function I'm going to say handle submit. So you'll be wondering where we declare this function. We did not declare the function yet. So for us to declare the function, we are going to declare the function up here. So I'm going to say const handle submit. This is the function. And then I'm going to use arrow function here. So here, the first thing I want to have to make sure to take this argument and then we want to prevent the page from reloading when we are clicking the button. So I'm going to say if e.prevent default, so the default behaviors for the page to load, I'm going to remove it out. So from there I want to want to get users input and image quantity. So I'm going to say in a comment get user input and quantity and quantity image or image quantity. So we want to get those credentials being entered by user. So to get those credentials, I'm going to say const, and then I want to use, I'm going to say user prompt or the input equals to e dot src. I'm going to use this property src element like that, and then I want the first child of this element, and then I want its value. Perfect. If I can type value, so this is what we want. I'm going to just come down and then change this on to the quantity now, user image quantity, and here we are going to get the qt like this. We are going to get the second now, the second child, which is our quantity. So if I come here and then I just console log it, let me say console log dot, I want to console log the user image quantity and then the user prompt like that. Let me hit save and then come to my browser. I'm going to open this on inspect. So let's submit something from our phone. Let me say hello, that, and then the quantity, I'm going to say the quantity of 4. If I hit on this one, as you can see, we have the 4 and the hello message, so we are getting it now. So next up, we want to create the HTML markup now. I'm going to hit tab and then creating. Let me just give it a comment, creating HTML markup. I want to create a HTML markup for the image card like this. So here it's where we want to first want to get the whatever the images, the image card, and then want to assign the quantity of the images in every in the whatever. I want to look through and get the length of the, I want to get the length of the quantity we have, and then we send to the server, then the server will retrieve to us based on the quantity. So I'm going to say const, and then I'm going to say image cut. So here I want to take an array, and this array I'm going to say the array is coming from the length. I want to get this is a length property, and then the length of user image quantity like this. Perfect. So when we get the quantity, the length of the quantity, we want to take this arrow function. Let me first want to take the arrow function, and in the arrow function we want to now show our cut. I'm going to use template literal here, and then I'm just going to come here and then copy this line of code from our HTML. We want to display it in our JavaScript like this. So let me format this code like this. Perfect. So here I want to now add the whatever the loading class here. After adding the loading class, instead of this image, we are going to use our GIF file now. I'm going to say /GIF. That is not the name. I use for 1487 dot div. To confirm that, you come to our folder. Let me come here, and then I come here. You see 1487.gif. That is the file we used here. So perfect. After using that, then want to join it with a what? With an empty string. Perfect. Oops. Then after joining it to the empty string, we want now our image. Want to append this card inside our want to append this card inside our image container. Remember, we have image container up here. We declared image container. So want this image container, want to append this card inside this card here inside the image container. For us to do that, we say image container dot inner HTML. You will use this property of inner HTML is equals to image card, which is this one. Let me use it here, which is this image card here. So after putting that one, the next thing is for us to call our image generating function. We'll call it here, calling generated AI function. But before we call it, let's save, and then let me come to my browser, and then let me say hello, and then let me say I want to cannot set properties, line 23, string null. Perfect. So the reason why it is not working, because we are not calling our whatever, we are not calling our image generator, because we want to generate images first so that it will know where exactly it is going. So for us to do that, we have to first declare a function. I'm going to say the function is called generate API, generate AI. So in this generate AI, it is going to take two parameters, which is the user. It is going to take the user prompt, and it's going to take the user image quantity like that. Perfect. But as you can see, we did not declare this function. So we have to define this function somewhere else. So for us to do that, we can scroll up to our let me scroll. We scroll up here, and then here is where I want to declare our function. I'm going to say const generate AI, which is the function name. Okay, it is going to be an arrow function, and then it is going to take two arguments from here because we gave it two parameters. So I'm going to say user prompt, which is the first argument, and then the second one is going to be user quantity. Perfect. So after using this one is now where we wanted to use our API. So let me say try catch. We are going to call our API in this block of code. So to get your API, you have to first visit this website here. It is platform.openai.com. You have to register with them, and then after registering, you just come to API reference. In API reference, you come to authentication. If you click on authentication, you come to API key. Visit your API key. As you can see here, you just click this one. There's this word here, visit API key somewhere here. You just click on the API key, Then it will take you to where you can create your API key. As you can see, I have one API key here, but I'm going to create a new one. So give your API key a name. Mine, I'm going to give it like image. This is the name I'm going to give it, but use whatever name you want to use. It is up to you. So this one will generate for you the API key. Let's give it a moment. So it wants us to verify. So I'm just going to do this one here faster. Right. This is the first one. Oops. Like this. So the last one. What is that? Like this. Is it? No, it is like this. Perfect. Perfect. We are now verified. So it is going to generate the key. As you can see, this is my API key. You generate your own API key. Don't use my API key, because after this video, I'm going to remove this API key out. So I'm going to save it and then click on done. And then I'll come back to my text editor. I'll just store it somewhere else here. I'm going to say API key. So I'm going to store it here. This is my API key, but you make sure to generate yours. It is free. You generate yours and then you use yours. Don't use mine, because after this video I'm going to delete it out and it is not going to work. After that, the second thing you have to come after generating your API key. Let's get back to our reference, our API reference. Okay, after getting back here, then you have to come and scroll in this side now here. You have to come where there's images. You click on image. So we scroll down, and as you can see here, this create image here. This is the API link, the endpoint where we want to target. So this is the one we are going to use and target on our whatever, uh, on this request, like the request wanted to send, and it is going to be a post request. So inside this one, the first thing I'm going to say cons, I'm going to say rest, and in the rest I'm going to say await. Await, I'm going to say fetch. So we want to fetch from this endpoint, which is this one. Oops, if I can, let me paste this one here. It is not going in. Okay, all right, it is there. Perfect. This is the API I want to fetch it from. But and remember, when you're using await, you have to make sure the function is async. You have to use await on asynchronous. Perfect. So after that one, I'm going to come here and then give it a comma, and then from there is where my methods, headers, and body will goes now. I'm going to say headers, and then in my headers, I'm going to use a content type. Let me come to the documentation and show you. As you can see in the documentation, you have to put the content type to be application JSON, and then the authorization should be in form of bearer token. And this is how you can use it actually. This is how they recommend you to use it. So let me just copy everything from here. If I can copy this one like this, perfect. And then I'm just going to come here and then paste it here. Okay, let me remove this one. and then remove this slash out also, but make sure to put the comma, and then you have to cover this one in a different string, the same as this one. Oops, not like that, like this. Perfect. Again, apply to the authorization and the bearer, but here I'm going to use template literal because I'm going to inject our API to be dynamic. So here is where we want to put our API key. So I'm going to say API key, which is this API key of ours here, is the one we are now putting it here dynamically. So perfect. This is our headers. So after our headers, we want our body. We want the body, and the body is going to take. That's not how you declare the body. The first thing you have to put the column, and then after that one, after the column, you have to make sure to send our body in a stringified format of JSON. So we want to say JSON dot stringify, and then we want to stringify the what? This content. So what we are sending here, if I come back to the documentation, as you can see, it is asking you for a lot of things here. But what we are going to use, we are going to use this prompt. We are going to use this n, which stands for the number or the quantity of the element, and this one is the input, the text you are going to put, and then we are going to use the size, how many size, the size of the image you want it to return for you. They have the list of everything here. If you go through, you can read through the documentation, and everything is here well explained. So let me just get into it and then copy everything from here. I'm gonna copy that, and then I'll put them inside my body. I don't want to use this model. Let me format this one like this. Perfect. And here we want to change from prompts with the string to a prompts property like this. Even the same applies to the size. Okay. So from there we change this one because we want to take the whatever the input which is coming from our application. So remember we have it here from the user input. So this is the one we are going to use. So I'm just going to copy this one and then paste it here. I paste this one here, and then the size, which is the quantity of our element. I'm going to paste this one here. So now the size of the image you want. This n stands for the number of the quantity, and this size is the size of the image you want it in return. So I'm going to use this image, which is 512 by 512. This is the size I'm going to use, 512 by 512. Okay, so I want now the third thing is the format of response format. Let me type it response format. I'm just going to say underscore format like that. Perfect. So the format is going to be in 64 bits JSON. Perfect. This is what we want. And as you can see in our application here, we forgot to put the method, what method we are using. Up here, you just come here. After this, you say method. And then remember our method, it is a post method. This is not a get method, it is a post method. As you read from, as if you check from the documentation, it is a post method, so this is the one we want to use. So for the response format, if you don't know, this is the response format. As I said, you can use this documentation. Everything is there for you, and you can get to know more about it here in the documentation. I refer you to the documentation. Okay, so let's get back to our code. So our API request is done. Want to now get the data we are getting from the API request. For us to do that, I'll come here after this one. I'm going to I'm going to say const. I want to destructure an object because it is going to be a data. It is going to come in a object format, which is JSON format. I'm going to say await and then respond dot JSON. Perfect. After giving this one, I'll just come here and say console log dot log like this. I want to log the data. Let me log the data and then hit save. Let me come to my browser and then come to our web page. Let me hit a good refresh here. And then I'm gonna come here and then I say sky. So let me check the quantity I want and then hit this one. Okay. It is saying the type cannot set property. Oh, this one of null. Okay, let's fix that. So as you can see, we are getting this error of uncatch type error cannot set property of null setting in a HTML. So when we come back to our HTML, it is actually throwing this error here in this line, but here I'm seeing like there's no problem. But after refactoring it and then I check it up here, I find out that instead of using dot, because we are getting the class from our HTML, but we just put it direct like that. We want to get the class, we have to put the dot. That's the first thing. And then if I come here, then I hit refresh, uh, I'm going to get another error. If I hit on this one, as you can see, it is kind of going like, yeah, it is going to the API, like trying to communicate to the server, but it is failing because of a bad request. This one happens because of the two reasons. As you can see in our code looks clean, but if you can observe here, this number actually is in a string format. We have to convert it into a number so that ChatGPT, DALL API will know what we want exactly. So for us to do that, we use the pass in function like this, and then pass our quantity in this format. And secondly, this one, as you can see, the response, I did not spell it correctly. I have to put the letter S there for it to work. Then I save the file. After saving the file and then hit good refresh here, then I'll say sky. Here I will choose the quantity. I'm going to set 2. If I hit on submit, then you'll see generate, then it will take time because it is now going to the server, communicating with the server, sending our data to the server in order for it to get for us the data or the image from the server. And as you can see, it returns for us with this array of an object. So we have two objects which contains our images. So this is what we want to see. Uh, okay, let's get into our code now. Here in line 22, I just console logged it, but want to update now the image cut. So I'm going to define a function called update. update image cut. So this is a function I'm going to define, and then I'm going to destructure. I'm going to destructure the data using this spread operators. I'm destructuring the data in this function. So I have to create this function somewhere up here. Okay, so to create the function, you have to say const and then the function name. So how do you want to call your function? As you can see here, down here we'll say update image cut. So this is the function name we want to give it. So I'm going to say update image cut. This is our function, and it is not going to be an async function because we are not calling anything from the server. So it is going to be like this, and we want to take an argument. Remember, we give it a parameter down here where we destructure the data. So want to receive the parameter here in the argument. So I'm going to come here and get it as image data array. Because it is going to come in an array format, I'm going to say image data array. So inside this function now, want to get now the what? Let me first write the code. I'm going to say cut const cut equals to image container, which is this image here. Because I'm updating now the content inside it, I want to get the image container and then query selector. I want to select everything in this image container, and then I want to get the cards. Remember, I have the cards inside it. So I'm going to get the image card, and then I'm going to give it an index. So you'll ask me where the index is coming from. Remember, we are using this image data array. We have to loop through it and get the index from it. So I'm going to say const image cut img. I'm going to just say img cut like this. Img, if I can spell, then cut. So want to look through this. I'll give it the image data array. So in the image data array, I want to give it a for each function. But I'm saying like there's no need for us to even give it a variable. We just iterate through it, just direct through it like this. I'm going to say for each. I'm going to say each like this. So for each element, I'm going to take the what? I'm going to take because it is going to give me the object or image object. So I'm going to say image object. It is going to give for me an object. For each object, I want to give an index on them. I want to give them index. So from there, I open the code block. So from there, we just cut this one here and then put it inside the for each here. Perfect. This is what we want. Let me give it some tab there. So instead of calling this one just cut, it is okay for me to give it a reasonable name like image card, because this is going to be the image card we're updating. So we are getting its index, which is coming from here, the index of this image card. After getting it, then we want to declare another variable. I'm going to give this one let, because we are going to reassign object to this variable. That's why I'm using let. If you're using constant here, it will not be reassigned. That's why. So I'm going to say let img element equals to image card dot query selector, and then I want to select what? I want to select the actual image inside this. So after getting the actual image, let me come out of this and then put the semicolon there. After getting the actual image, so I want to now see what? I want the setting, I want to set the image source to the AI generated image. So its source, I want it to be now as the AI generated image source. That's what I mean here. All right. So from here, what we're gonna do is we're going to say cons AI generated. I'm going to just leave it like this, AI generated, but it's okay to make it image like this. I'm going to say I want to use this backtext. So this one is going to be data on the image / JPEG, then column B64, but it is not B64, but it is base64 like this. So I'll say comma, then $sign. I want to put the dynamic object here, a dynamic data inside this. So the dynamic data we are going to use is going to be the image object. As you can see, we have here image object, so it's the data we are going to use here. And say img object like this, because this is where we are getting the object, and in that object we have this property of b64 b64 underscore json. This is where our image is, the image link is stored. So after that one, I want to say the img element now, the image element. I want its src, the source file, to be equals to the one of AI generated image like this. So let me save the file and then give it a try. Let me come to my browser and then I type here sky. Then I want two images, then I will hit this. So let's see what it will draw for us. So as you can see, guys, it is taking long and it is not returning for us our data. So, and even we are not seeing the loading spinner. So that one means like we have an error in our code. So I'm going to come back to my code and then I check for errors where I actually see the errors, and where we are displaying our loading spinner is kind of down here. Yeah, it is in this image card. So as you can see the image, it is not even showing for us our loading spinner. That one actual source for us that we have problem here. So from what I see here, it is this one. We use curly braces here. That's why it is not giving us our loading spinner, and even it is not displaying for us our data. We have to return it directly without putting the curly braces. So if I save this file and then I come back here, let me try to type sky again, and then I'll just enter the number of the quantity of the image, and then I'll click. Then as you can see, perfect. We are now seeing our spinner here. The spinner is here loading. We have three spinners loading, and let's give it some time. Maybe it is going to draw for us our images of the sky. Let's give it some minutes, not minutes, but seconds. I'm sorry. So, perfect. As you can see, we have our images here, and they are kind of very small. This is the sky images. So we have to actually now we have to remove the whatever the class of loading, because this one is taking the size of the loading. That's why you're seeing the images are very small. So we come back to our update image function, and then from there I want to now take the what the loading the loading class out of the whatever out of the elements. So I'm going to say img element dot unload, img element dot unload. Oops. So if it is loaded, I wanted to take the image class img cut dot class list. I want to get its class list, and then I want to remove the class name of loading. So that's what I want to remove. So let me just hit save here, and then try once again. Let me say humans, and then I want the quantity. I'll change the quantity to 2 now. And then if I hit enter, then you'll see we have two spinners here. So if it is ready, if our data is ready, then it will show for us two images here, and the size is going to be now as the normal size we intended to see, with a width of 285. And as you can see, this is the image generated. These are the images generated. Perfect. So the next thing is want to see now our download button. As currently you can see, if I click on this download button, it is not downloading for us the image, because there is no way we want to generate images but we don't want to download them. So we want to implement that logic of downloading the image in our machine. So I'm going to come back to the code, and for us to download the image, we have to grab the button. Remember, we have the button here, and it has a class of download btn. So this is what we want to get, and then we'll come to our JavaScript file here. Here I'm going to say cons, and then you give the button a name, the variable name. I'm going to say download btn. So download btn is going to get the document dot query selector all. Remember, we have multiple buttons, so we want to get all of those buttons, and then we put the class name there. This one will get for us all the buttons. So in order for us to work now with the button, we come here inside the unload. When the data is now ready for us to use, we can now use the download btn, and then want to look through it. So we use the for each method. Want to get each button, and then I'm going to give it I'm going to call it as btn, but you can call it whatever you want to call. So inside this btn, I want to set now the btn dot. I want to set an attribute. I want to set an attribute of href. That's the attribute I want to set. So I'm going to set this attribute of href, and it is going to take the value of the AI generated image. This is it. So after now, when we set it href to the generated image, then we want to now download the image. So I'm going to say btn dot set attribute again, and this attribute is going to be download. Remember, in HTML there's an attribute called download, used for downloading files. So this is the attribute, it is called download, and then I'm going to give it a name. The name I'm going to give it the current date. So I'm going to say new day, and then I'm going to say this, call the function dot. Then I want to get the current time. I'm going to say get time. So this one will give you the whatever the image will download the image based on the current time you are in. So if we are downloading the image, we want to download it in JPG format. Let me say JPG format, but you can change it and use PNG and all those stuff. So as you can see, this is what we want to write. So after saving this file, let's come to our browser and give it a try. Let me collapse this one. And then from here, I will say, but, so I want 4 images here. I'm going to click on 4. So then I'll click on generate. This one will keep on generating. As you can see, it has 4 spinners now. This one will generate for us 4 images. So let's wait for the response and see how many images we got. And then we'll see if it can be downloaded or not. Let's give it a seconds. Perfect. As you can see, we have 4 images of birds here, and these are beautiful birds. So let's give it a try for the download button. I'm seeing this bird is so nice. So if I click on this bird, this one, it will open for me a window for me to save. So this one is the file name, and you can now download the file or save it into your computer like this, and it will give you a pop-up message here that the image is currently downloaded. So if I click on this one, let me click on this. So as you can see, here is our image. It is downloaded now in our, let me close this window. So as you can see, it is now downloaded in our machine. So this is how it is. This is what we want to achieve in this video. And it is not only with this image, but every image here, you can download it and you can use it. So this is how it is working, and I'm so glad to make such a content to you guys so that you can learn something new. Also, you can learn how to create your own image generator like this, easy and so quick. So if this video is so nice and you really learn something, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That one really motivates me a lot to create such content like this and give it to you guys in the video, in the YouTube channel. So please and please subscribe to my YouTube channel and share with friends. Bye bye for now. I'll see you guys in the next project in the future.